Hello everyone, it's the Sequitur here, and today for this video I will be reviewing a copy of The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings for the Xbox 360 while sipping a delicious sugar-based carbonated beverage. Before we dive into the game here, I'd like to do a quick overview of the Witcher franchise and the company behind it, CG Project. It's a Poland-based company, famous for games like Baldur's Gate. Very famous, good game. Also administers the site GOG.com, formerly Good Old Games, which they have a public image similar to that of Valve, just really community based. So it's good stuff. The original Witcher actually came out a couple years ago for the PC only. It was slightly different angles, of course, different controls, and the overall gameplay and combat was a lot less fast paced. It was a slightly different game than it is today. That being said, if you were a fan of the original, the second one definitely retains a lot of qualities that the first one did. So if you like that plot line, definitely keep up with The Witcher 2. It'll have a lot of those qualities that you like. Diving into the actual game here, I'd like to start off with the plot and the storyline. Dialogue is fairly generic in comparison to a lot of the RPGs that we see nowadays. Similar comment selection when you're having a conversation with another character, and it really doesn't show too much. That being said, throughout the storyline, I do see a lot more of a characterization in the NPGs and the relationships that the main character has a lot more than some of the other games out there. So while maybe the conversation really doesn't hold on its own spectacularly, outside of that, the way they implement the characters, you definitely get some emotions for them. Moving on, let's talk about combat. Um, I know if you've read any reviews or watched any other reviews, a big concern that they have with this game is the controls, specifically in combat. Fighting, it seems a little bit clunky. And while I agree with that wholeheartedly, it's weird. I actually kind of like it. Here's why. It really creates an intellectual game that makes you think, well, hey, if I press this button and I know the controls are so odd that the guy will roll a good second after I do that, it shapes the way I play, and I don't know, it's a slight breath of fresh air in just these button mashing times. That being said, I completely understand why someone wouldn't like that, so just keep it in mind. The controls can get a little bit hairy at times, but like I said, I really don't mind all that. The combat fight scenes are pretty epic. They have you going up against some really tough creatures. That's another point I guess I'd like to bring up in combat. They definitely don't skimp on the enemies in this game. It's another one of those things that's a nice breath of fresh air for me, is the fact that there's several times I've just had to die and restart and rethink my strategy. It's not like it's not a crazy difficult game by any means. It just really causes you to think. The first time you might run into a battle, decide, hey, I got this, go up, get the guy down to half health, and you're out for the count. Then you got to go back in, think, all right, what spell do I have to use? What potion do I have to use? And you do everything right, and you kill them no problem. It's a matter of thinking your attack out. It works really well for me, at least. So on the flip side of that, of course, is the whole thing of dying quite a few times. If you're a guy who really likes to get into the action, you might want to think about this game, because specifically another big issues people have had with it is the autosaves. I remember several times where just autosaves were god awful. I mean, I don't mind infrequent autosaves. Hell, I can even see how they'd make a game better if you're trying to do them strategically and make the person work for that battle. But if an autosave is just 30 minutes of you walking through a forest and then 10 minutes of you finally actually getting to the thing that you want to get to. It seems a little impractical to me. And so I guess that's something you have to keep in mind. So I'm going to wrap up with just a few points I think I should mention here. One is it's a really long game. So in regards for graphics and characterization, plot, fights, all of that, I think they do a really, really great job. You'd think it'd be easy to slack off with that, but the publishers really put a lot of effort into it. You can see that. The menu systems, think like Skyrim. I mean, obviously they're going to be slightly different, but just like all those big RPG games you have, it's just a lot of menus, a lot of equips, just that whole like lists of stuff type thing going on. So that's what you're looking for. I'll probably have an image of that. Sorry for kind of quickly summarizing here. I'm trying to wrap it up kind of quick. I noticed that the video is taking longer than I thought. But look into it. I think there's one big final point I should mention, and it's kind of a little. I'm skeptical about mentioning it, but I feel like I really should. In the purchase of this game, something that's really nice that I like that the publishers did is they viewed that $60 as very expensive for a game, as it is, and instead of just giving you this game, which every other company ever has always just done, and it's always been the norm, they have actually added a ton of extra content that makes it definitely worth your while. Added the audio CD, so all the music that you have on it. They have world map, quest handbook, which is pretty thick. I mean, they have handbooks and game manuals, so I mean, this isn't any tiny pamphlet for instructions. This is a guide, and they have, of course, the game DVDs. So I mean, keep it in mind when you're thinking about this game. Not only is it an above average RPG, so if you're into that stuff, with great storyline, you do get a quite a bit of extra content. Yeah, so I know that's not exactly game related, but it's definitely worth mentioning if you're gonna go out and buy this game. I'll have the score posted at the end of the video. Look in the description for why I scored it the way it is, and I love your comments and your subscriptions as always. So thank you for everything. This was the Sequitur, and see you later.